Hello, manga and anime lovers. I'm Branch, and today I'm talking about Mysterious Disappearances, Episode 8. Now, this episode was pretty good. I'm not gonna lie, it was really good. It was about as good as the Bath episode, Episode 4. Of course, it wasn't quite as good as the last episode, which had a whole bunch of stuff going for it, but this episode was really good. I really appreciate them giving us time to slow down and decompress after the really tragic and stressful events of the last arc. And we get to go back into Sumireko's past and learn more about how she got into writing. And this whole section was so good. I really appreciated all of this. I noticed toward the end or halfway through the episode when they were finishing up her flashback that they seemed to be taking things really slow, which I like because some of the earlier sections of this season was really fast and I wasn't too fond of that, but now it seems like they found a pretty good pace. And toward the end, they set up the next arc as well, which I guess I'll just talk about that real quick because it's not the main focus, but it is interesting. I really like how they're taking a new twist on the Tsukumogami, which is basically an object that gets a soul when it's cared for long enough. And now they've changed it into people don't care for objects anymore, they care for data. So now there's a VTuber Tsukumogami, which I find really interesting. Now that I know what this VTuber's deal is, I'm so excited to get into whatever her arc is. It probably has something to do with Oto's friend, the little blonde girl, who seems to be really restricted by her parents and her teacher into what she can do on the internet and to what she can watch. So, I mean, I get the feeling I was also slightly restricted as a kid for what I could do on the internet. Probably not as much as I should have been because my parents didn't know what you could do on the internet. But, you know, I had time limits and stuff. And even if it was good for me to not be online all day, as a kid, you don't like that, so you take any chance you can to sneak off or, you know, look up videos or, you know, whatever. That's besides the point, though. I'm really looking forward to getting to know this girl better. There was an interesting scene with her earlier where apparently she has the hobby of collecting nice underwear, which I guess, I mean, you can do that. You can wear nice undergarments. I'm so thankful they didn't show them on the screen. I'm thankful that Sumireko is the only object of fan service so far. Well, that's not entirely true. There was some Oto stuff too. Let's ignore that for now because we'll go into a rabbit hole if I keep talking about that. Moving on to the main part of the episode, which is the flashback of Sumireko's, I want to say childhood, but really young childhood, like preschool or maybe a little older than that. And we get the interesting reveal that she doesn't know how to express herself, I want to say. She doesn't know how to put words to thoughts. And so eventually at the end, the person in the mysterious bookstore teaches her to write them down in her head beforehand and then basically read them, which again leads into Sumireko becoming an author. And I thought this was really good and really interesting because it's pretty obvious from this information that Sumireko is probably a neurodivergent individual. I'm not super familiar with that kind of stuff, so I won't try to assume. If I had to take a guess, I would say she's probably some form of autistic. And I really like that they even went as far because a lot of anime don't deal with that kind of stuff. Like sometimes they'll have a character be, as the people on the internet would say, coded as neurodivergent. Something that comes to mind is the girl from that one anime reincarnated as a villainess at level 99 or something. I can't remember. Oh my goodness. You might know what I'm talking about, but a lot of people see her as being neurodivergent because of the way she acts. But in Mysterious Disappearances, it's all but stated as fact that Sumireko is not an average person. And I thought that was really interesting. Adashino mentions how she talks kind of stilted and weird, which you can't really get across when you don't know Japanese. So I don't even know if they did it correctly. I hope they did. I hope Japanese viewers could pick up on that. The subtitle dialogue doesn't really get that fact across, although it could be wrong because I'm so focused on reading the subtitles, understanding them, and moving on to the next subtitle that I can't really tell if something's odd. I would have to look back at the manga to see if that's a thing. Again, it all depends on how good the translator is. But I really like that, especially how Sumireko mentions how as a kid she couldn't express what she was feeling, and so she would basically clam up and then lash out at people when she was either upset or really no matter what. If she couldn't express herself, then her friends would get angry because she wouldn't say anything. Then she would get angry that they were getting angry, and then everyone would just be angry at each other, and then she would wind up lashing out and running away, and that's how she came across the bookstore. Gyokushindo, if I'm saying that correctly, Gyokushindo. And at first I thought this was going to be the whole mermaid section, as the title mentions. It has mermaids in the title. Because I'm pretty sure, is it Gyojin? Or no, Gyojin is Fishman from One Piece. Ningyo is mermaid. So I thought those might be correlated, but I guess not. It's something else. I know Gyo means a whole bunch of things. I think it means doll as well. But no, the mermaid turns out to be the VTuber, so we'll get into that next time probably. But I found Sumireko's description of herself as a kid and her recounting and how the author describes this kind of inability to express emotions as it hits very close to home. Because I know someone who was like that as a kid, where they couldn't express their emotions, and so they would literally have the exact same reaction as Sumireko, and it would go really badly. Now, as they got older, they're an adult now, they learned how to express their emotions, but you can tell when they talk that they're talking very matter-of-factly, and it's just not quite the same as everyone else talks. I mean, everyone talks the same, but you might know what I'm talking about. So I found this stuff really realistic, and although I'm not neurodivergent myself, at least I don't think I am, I really appreciate the show going into that and showing how Sumireko developed her ability to write, and why she was such a prodigy as a kid is because she had all this stuff bottled up inside, so she was finally able to express it in the form of writing, and so that wound up in her getting an award. And it's kind of sad when you think about it, how now she's an adult and she's basically a failure, even though she can talk well now. I assume she still does, at least to an extent, the thing where she writes in her head and then expresses and then reads that out loud because of Adashino's comments. It's very nice that she's getting back into the swing of things. She's getting back into writing now that she knows about curiosities. And speaking of curiosities, I really like the curiosity of this episode as well. I can't remember her name, I'm sorry, but the bookstore lady, the owner of the bookstore, the person from way back when, who used to read a whole bunch of books, and she basically has read every book that exists. It was nice to see another friendly curiosity, and one that was just really good. Like, she's a great person, or whatever she is, a great ghost. She let this young girl take refuge in her shop and read books. They became, I guess, something akin to friends, and she helped her sort through her problems, and she set her basically on the path to success in life. And it's kind of ironic that curiosities are, again, what helps Sumireko get back on track later on. I am wondering what's the reason the passage, I guess, appeared again in the present day to Sumireko. If I had to guess, it was something to do about curiosities. I'm not sure why the store is demolished. Maybe it's just the case that Sumireko doesn't need the store anymore, so that's why it's not there. Because the bookstore lady says something akin to that. Sumireko will be fine now. So I thought that was nice. I guess one really funny thing that was completely out of place in the episode and came from left field was the woman at the start looking for like the history of farting or something like that, the complete history or the complete something. But I don't understand why a book like that exists. I mean, I can believe a book like that exists, and I'd want to read that book now. But it was funny that Sumireko knew, I know where it is, it's over there. Whether or not she's read it, she's basically, I mean, she works at a bookstore, which again is really fitting. She now went from, I guess she was inspired by the curiosity lady at the bookstore to work in a bookstore herself when she was an adult. And then she also acknowledges that Adashino will probably not be around forever, which basically, at this point, it's basically confirmed that Adashino's gone at the end of the series. Done. Either he's dead or he's taken off somewhere, but he's not going to be around at the end. Which is very sad, but you know what? I won't think about that right now because we're nowhere near the end, I don't believe. I know the manga's still ongoing, at least I think it is. So this first season probably doesn't even scratch the surface of the story. That being said, that's all I have to talk about this episode. A really wholesome episode. I really liked it. If things keep going this way, then, I don't know, this season will end up on a really good note. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you some other time. Bye.